There's a new street fighter on your windowsill. The weapon is peace, the word is chill.
Hello there guys, and welcome to a different type of Model Behaviour news video. I said I was going to start branching out and doing more stuff, and this is what I'm going to do. I don't want to water down the action figure content, so rather than cramming a load of different things into good news, I'm going to do a separate video. Need to think of a catchy title for it, but it's covering non-action figure related stuff, but things that are in the news and that we care about. And also, in doing that, I've been reading a lot more news and watching more news videos, and I'm like, geez, there's a lot of clickbait out there. So I'm hoping to bait you into clicking on this video, but I'm going to be honest about the content, namely that I'm going to debunk a lot of stuff, and that's kind of cool. I'm clearly doing God's work. So the first big story is Charlie Cox confirmed to return as Daredevil. Yeah, that's what the titles are reading. That's what the headlines are saying. Kevin Feige confirms Charlie Cox to return as Daredevil. Wow, I'm going to click on that and see when we're going to see it. Yeah, I'll tell you. No particular time at all, maybe. I saw so many news articles that say Kevin Feige confirms that Charlie Cox will return as Daredevil. And then you actually read it, and it's saying, Kevin Feige says that if they bring Daredevil into the MCU, then Charlie Cox will play Daredevil. Not that they're going to bring him into the MCU, not that he's going to appear, not that there are any plans whatsoever. I read that and I was like, oh, gosh, you clickbaity little cheeky monkeys, you. So yes, it's lovely that Kevin Feige says that if they bring Daredevil back, then Charlie Cox will play him, but that and £3 will get you a coffee at Starbucks. It means nothing, but well done to everyone who led their videos with that, because boy howdy, you got a lot of clicks for it. But some real actual news, which I'm sure you guys know about now, is that we have had a proper trailer or like a segment preview of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. And first of all, that was news to me. Shows how much my finger is not on the pulse. Part 1. I didn't know this was like a segmented thing. I didn't know we're getting Part 2 as well. This is brilliant. That was a surprise for me just researching this show. So next year we're getting Part 1, and then in 2023 we're getting Across the Spider-Verse Part 2, which is fantastic. So that's double thumbs up already. Now then, the actual trailer or segment, whatever you want to call it, it looks phenomenal. Absolutely, I get so excited for this. Spider-Verse was incredible, and now we've got this new one coming, and it looks like what they're going to do, which I'm really hoping about, was that in the first movie, it was all in Miles's reality, and then we had these weird characters come into it. Whereas in the second movie, it looks like we are going to go with Miles into all these different weird realities where all the animation style looks different, and oh my goodness, that is going to be a trip for the senses. It's going to be an overwhelming, just amazing visual experience, because everyone they have working on Spider-Verse, from what I've seen from that first movie and from these trailers, they're just creative geniuses. They're just artists. They're just so damn talented at creating this world and the music and the sound and the way the camera moves. I'm so excited for this. Only thing I wasn't excited about was Gwen peer pressuring Miles to sneak out of his room when he's grounded. I mean, I'm sorry, but your parents grounded you for a reason. What are they going to think? They're going to open the door and you're not there? I mean, first of all, they're going to panic that they don't know where you are, and then they're going to think, well, I grounded him and he's betrayed me. You know, I'm sorry, Gwen, but that wasn't fair. That wasn't fair. And you know, I like you, Gwen, but stop playing my boy Miles like that. You know he has a crush on you, and that's just not fair. But the movie looks amazing, and also on the back of that, it's been confirmed that Oscar Isaacs, everyone's like America's sweetheart. We love Oscar Isaacs. He's encroaching on Paul Rudd territory there. Oscar Isaacs will return. He'll take a break from his Moon Knight duty to do the voice of Spider-Man 2099. And that raises the other question as to what's Spider-Man 2099's deal in this film, because in the preview, he's attacking Miles, or is he? Is he like grabbing him, trying to get him somewhere? Or is he trying to stop Miles from destroying the multiverse? I don't know, but I'll be excited to find out. And in other Spider-Man news, Marvel's Avengers, Sony's Avengers game, you know what I'm talking about, have actually finally released Spider-Man as a DLC character. And he's been greeted with a wave of, Yeah, this isn't a huge big thing. I remember how controversial it was when Sony announced that Spider-Man was going to be an exclusive to Sony. It's like, oh, you want to play Spider-Man in Marvel's Avengers? Well, you gotta do it on PlayStation. And everyone was saying, that's not fair, we want to play Spider-Man regardless. And now, several years later, or at least like a year and a half, 2 years later, it feels like a long time, we've finally got Spider-Man, and everyone's like, Marvel's Avengers? Are people still playing that? Yeah, it's kind of the hoopla's died down because the game was not well received. I played it myself. Wasn't a huge fan, bit too button mashy for my liking, and just, I don't know, I wasn't connecting with it. And it seems people aren't that excited about Spider-Man either because there's no story or anything behind it. You're just playing as Spider-Man. And there's like apparently some text that you can read that gives some lore, some kind of story, but there's no kind of real campaign that's structured around the character of Spider-Man. You can just play as Spider-Man. And that's practically like a skin, essentially, except that you can swing. And also, I can't really blame them for not dedicating, thousands of man-hours and millions of dollars into recreating the Sony Spider-Man games mechanics, but at the same time, like, you're literally just swinging from an invisible ceiling. So it's not really the most awe-inspiring thing in the world. So it seems like if you are still playing Sony's Avengers or Marvel's Avengers, and, there are people doing it, so, God love you, then you can play as Spider-Man, but it doesn't seem to be like the big revelation that's going to save this particular game franchise. It just seems like a little addendum that you can do if you're so inclined. And the final story, which is definitely good news, is that Sony's Amy Pascal has confirmed, as officially as you can do, that there will be a new Spider-Man trilogy in the MCU with Tom Holland. So Spider-Man No Way Home is not the end of the Sony, Disney, Marvel Spider-Man agreement. Thank goodness. Because if Sony took full ownership of Spider-Man back and just threw a new version of Spider-Man into their Venom universe, I wouldn't want to see that. Don't make me go back there, Sony. Don't make me go back there. So thank goodness they've managed to come to terms, it would seem, on keeping Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU, doing their profit-sharing thing that they were doing before. And that was a bit shaky. It was a bit worrying because around 2019, it seemed like Sony were going to take their ball and go home. Because it seemed as though Disney were saying, yeah, we'll do the profit sharing thing. We'll keep 90% of the profits, and you can have that there. And Sony were like, excuse me, we do own the movie rights for this character. So it seems like cooler heads have prevailed, thank goodness, and the people who win out most are the fans. So that's a great thing. We don't know what this new trilogy is going to involve. Hopefully not Tom Hardy's Venom franchise, but it looks like we're getting a little bit close to that. But the fact that we're keeping Spider-Man in the MCU, we can still build on this pedigree and lineage. Hopefully we'll get Peter in college, away from the Tony Stark Avengers stuff, doing his own thing, being his own man, being a real Spider-Man. I feel like this first Spider-Man trilogy, was like the introduction and his evolution away from Iron Man. And hopefully this next Spider-Man trilogy will be Peter being Spider-Man. If it is, I'm going to be very happy, but what you can guarantee is that I'll be talking to you all about it on this channel. So guys, thank you so much for watching this new news show that I don't have a name for yet, but until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Cheers.